Oh yeah, well, house sales in Auckland seem to be on the rise, according to one real estate company, but sellers are having to accept some lower prices. So what does that mean for the people in the real estate market? Is it time to buy? Is it time to sell? Or should we just be sitting tight? Luckily, it's a question I'm asking. So I'm being joined now by HIckey of interest.co.nz. Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
Good morning.
Is this a sign that we're getting out of the recession slowly but surely and all is well with the world of houses?
Well, it looks okay. March and April were good, but I think this is a bounce of the dead cat variety. We have a lot of bad news to come with the economy. Unemployment is going to rise, and interest rates have pretty much stopped falling, at least for people who are borrowing money. We've seen that with the official cash rate being cut on Thursday, and banks have yet to pass that on in lower mortgage rates. Yeah, and that is going to make sure the housing market doesn't continue on with this March and April boomlet.
Do you think they will drop the housing rate at some point, or the interest rate at some point? I mean, there was that story that came out that the Australian banks charging the Aussies less than they're charging us.
I don't think they are going to, and this is going to surprise a few people, because the banks face very high funding costs on their international debt. They have about $100 billion that they've borrowed from overseas. Because of the credit crunch, those costs are high, and also at home, where they borrow money from mums and dads who are putting money into term deposit accounts. They haven't cut those rates either because they can't, because mums and dads are essentially revolting over low interest rates. They're going to corporate bonds and other things, and so the banks, competing hard with each other, can't afford to cut those term deposit rates, and therefore they can't afford to cut the mortgage rates either.
Those people who bought their houses sort of 4 or 5 years ago at a ridiculously high price and saw it going into the stratosphere and thought, I only have to sit on it for a year and a half and I'll be worth 10 million, you know, and now it's worth 450. I mean, the prices were too high to begin with, weren't they? Are we ever going to get back up to those levels? Not
for another 10 or 15 years. I think. I've forecast a 30% fall in house prices from the peak in 2007 to, let's say, the end of 2010, and then it will take another 10, 15 years of grinding our way back up to get to those prices. So either enjoy the house that you're living in, and just avoid watching the TV and reading the paper and that sort of thing, because it'll make you sick.
So what about if you are thinking of buying a house? Is now a good time to be out there buying? Is it just going to get, you know, prices just going to keep going up, or are they going to get lower?
My view is now's a fantastic time to buy a house if you're going to live in it, and it's the place you want to bring up kids, and it's close to the school, and you can afford it. That's great. Home ownership is brilliant. But if you're a property investor and you're just in it for the capital gains, be very careful. Unless you're getting yourself a bargain, you could be sitting on a property which doesn't generate you cash and which won't generate big capital gains over the next 10 years or so.
Well, while I've got you here, we've heard a lot of questions about renegotiating your mortgages, the break fees, all that sort of thing. If you are going to renegotiate your mortgage now, it's coming up soon, what's your advice on should you fix for a long term, should you do part, or what should you do? It
depends on your own needs. If you really want to make sure you've got a budget set for the next 5 years, then fixing makes sense. Breaking doesn't necessarily make sense because it can cost you big fees. But there is another way, which is to float some and fix some. So you've got your bases covered a bit. I don't think that interest rates are going to fall that much more, but then again, they probably won't rise that much more in the next couple of years. So you can probably be okay for the next 6 to 12, maybe 18 months with a floating or a 6-month rate. But then again, interest rates, long-term interest rates, are on the rise, I think, over the next 4 or 5 years. And if you're looking to lock yourself in, now's probably not a bad time. All right.
Bernard Hickey, thank you very much for coming on Sunrise this morning and explaining that.
Just out of interest, we had a flood in our kitchen a couple of months ago, so we're doing up our kitchen at the moment. And one of the side effects, or the positive effects, of people not buying and selling so much at the moment is renovating. Apparently, renovations are going gangbusters at the moment.
Yes, all those builders who were building new houses are going back and doing renovations.
And people are deciding to stay in their homes for longer and doing them up and making them more into the house of their dreams rather than
That's
upgrading.
Right, because they can't buy the house of their dreams.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Luckily, I'm thinking of selling the house of your dreams, and so if you are interested...
I thought you were particularly interested in that interview, Ollie.
I was pushing for it, to be honest, Bernard, but thanks for giving me all the answers I needed. Hope you got something out of it. Right.
Okay, coming up on the show, New Zealanders discovered